Hello, everybody. Of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button as well. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
ding,
Thank you for that, Ish.
yes,
And as
sir.
well, if you are on Twitter slash X slash whatever you want to call it for this week, like I say every week, you can check us out on X Talking Ish on Periscope and as well on my personal page at X underscore Williams 81. I went ahead and retweeted it already, so you guys can check it on out. You already know before we get into our topics for tonight, let's go ahead and introduce our very special guest, who is, of course, not new to the show here. Might not be new, but he is one of our favorite guest to be on this show here. So, Mr. Adrian Lunsford from B Doc Sports, please, as always, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Well, hello again to the crowd. What's up, Ish? What's up,
What's
X?
up, Adrian?
Yes, sir. And, as Adrian likes to keep it short and sweet, we'll go ahead and move back over to Ish and ask him how he's been doing the past week or so.
Been making it little by little. Not too bad. How about yourself, my man?
I'm actually dying over here. It might look cool, calm and collected, but I'm dying. But my wife's sick, the kid's sick. So I've had to actually work from home the last couple of days and help out with the household. But yeah, it's as Adrian knows well enough, fatherly duties do not stop even after work. So it's just one of those things where, hey, I put myself in this position, knowing what come with it, and here we are. So just it is what it is. And I will say before we get into our topics, a sport like football develops certain values that last throughout your life. So when you are put in real life situations, you can kind of use those skill sets that you learn in football to help you with your everyday life.
One hundred
There's some
percent.
things that I use that I've been taught, I should say, throughout football, especially facing adversity, challenges, things of that nature. Again, I think football is one of those great sports that allows you to navigate life as well. Let's get to the comment section. Fracture Walnut, as always, cracking with the jokes. He said, "What's up with the new Eagles fan?" And of course, he's being funny because apparently the Tennessee Titans want to be the farm team for the Philadelphia Eagles now. It seems as though trading away Kevin Byard off to the Philadelphia Eagles for peanuts and cracker jacks. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But before
Nothing
we
new.
well, I mean, again, it's just apparently Tennessee thinks that they're smarter than everybody else. So again, I don't know where to go with that. I'm not even gonna talk about that right now. Let's go ahead and get right into the thick of things. Let's start off with what I was kind of hoping maybe the game of the Sunday, just due to these two teams coming in, the two records, the Lions trying to establish that they are here for, at least for this season and maybe moving forward. The Ravens, let's be honest, Ravens are who they are. They've been who they are since they've had Lamar. But this year seems a little different, obviously, with new offensive coordinator and everything else that's been coming into play since the season started. Well, if you did watch the game, at least in the first half or so, the game was probably over with in the first half before it even really started. The Ravens just took care of business at the bank. There are times that when they do play against certain teams at home, they find a way to play with their food, I like to say a lot, and not kill it and take care of it like predators are supposed to do. This is not that game. I mean, they were clicking on all phases of the ball, both sides of the ball. I know Lions fans, at least for this year, will tell everybody we're not the same Lions, and they are correct. I'm not saying that they are, but at least for this game, they definitely look like the Lions of the past. I don't think this one game defines them as a team moving forward, but I think this is a really, really good game from them to learn from moving forward. And they have to lick their wounds and heal up quickly because they are going to, of course, get right back in the thick of things with the remaining of the schedule. So I'll throw it to Adrian first. Of course, the first question is, are the Ravens the best team in the NFL? And the second question is this a team that's legit to make a AFC championship conference, I'm sorry, AFC conference championship appearance at least? Adrian?
They're not the best team in the NFL because they're not consistent. So, therefore, that eliminates them from in that conversation to me. As far as the AFC Championship, I still got to go through Kansas City. I don't care what anybody says. You're talking about consistency is the key to the NFL, and just to touch on what you said about the Lions being who the Lions are, they're still the Lions, just like Cleveland is still Cleveland. Until you become consistent and do the things that you're supposed to do week in and week out, 5-2 is 5-2. Okay, they got a good record, but they're not consistent. And then you look at how they're winning some of the games that they are winning. So I say the same thing about the Ravens. This was a blowout, but now are you going to turn around next week and win by 3? Or are you going to lose to the Steelers and or whatever the case may be, in a close game? So I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Completely understand your statement there. Ish, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, 100%. Ravens aren't the best team in the league at all. They're not. They really aren't in the conversation for me right now. So I don't know why I've been hearing people talking about it, because they just are not consistent enough to even be in that conversation. In order to be in the conversation for best team in the league, you have to have some level of consistency to where you can go out and perform and beat the teams you're expected to beat, at least have somewhat of a decent performance in some of these games. And we've seen far too often already this season, the Ravens come out and you really don't know what you're going to get. And even from half to half, you really don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what the performance is going to be like. Now, is this a step in the right direction? Yes, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think that we are starting to see some improvement, and we're starting to see what they're capable of. Now we just need to see that consistently. And if we can start to see that, I think in a couple of weeks, yeah, we could talk about them being potentially the best team in the league. But for right now, I'm just looking at them. I'm excited that they were able to put this kind of showing out there, just to show everybody what they've got, especially after the past couple of years where they've had all these injuries. And they're finally healthy. They're finally starting to get into the swing of things. And I think that's going to go a long way for their consistency, right? If they can stay healthy, if they can keep people on the field, the more they can play together, the more consistent they'll be. For the Lions, the Lions, I love this because remember the Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, and everybody started talking about, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are done. What dynasty? Oh, Patrick Mahomes, the $500 million quarterback. Look at that. Okay. I told everybody, let's wait and see how it goes. It's week 1. The Lions are a worse version of the Ravens to me. They are way worse when it comes to consistency. They just don't know how to win. I think for the Lions, it's a culture situation. They don't know how to win yet. They don't know how to consistently win. They don't know how to be the leaders. And I think we talked about this after week 1. They're going to have to find out, how do you win when you are now the hunted? Because in the NFC North, they are the hunted. Let's just be frank about it. The Packers had a quarterback that nobody knew what we were going to get from them. The Vikings have been flat out terrible, with the exception of this week. And we're not even going to talk about Chicago. So the Lions, really, this is their division, and they have got to stand up and show out. And they just can't figure it out right now. I don't know if they want to win it.
Now, after listening to you two, I'm really disappointed in y'all, because
here we go.
I'm supposed to be the Lamar hater, as everybody keeps saying, right? I mean, the way y'all talking, I mean, y'all sound like Lamar haters, right? I mean, every time Lamar does something spectacular and he throws 26 of 27 and 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and everybody, Lamar supporters, Ravens supporters will say, "Oh, he's not a running back and he's this and he's that." Just to hear Ish and Adrian come on this show and say, "Oh, I mean, it's okay. It's not consistent enough." It sound like me. I'm just confused on where y'all getting? Are y'all listening to X? Is this what's going on here? I respect that. I respect y'all from having to put your egos to the side and understand that somebody like myself knows what he's talking about. And I respect that from y'all.
The difference is you'll say Lamar's trash or something silly.
That's not true at all.
That's not what we're saying. We're just saying they're not consistent.
I've always said that from day one. I said he is not a consistent passer down the field. I've never in my life said that he's trash. I might say he had a trash performance, but never in my life will I say he's trash. Come on now. See, again, before we got on this show, Adrian is wanting to put words in my mouth, and they're doing it exactly again right now. I don't understand what's wrong with these two, because like I'm going to finish this up and say is, I think we learned a lot more about both these teams, but I still feel as though that we're going to learn even more about these teams after midway point, because like you said, Ish, week one didn't define anything for both those teams, the Chiefs and the Lions. We know the Chiefs going to be there at the end of the season. We just don't know about the Lions, right? Same thing with the Ravens. We know the Ravens are probably going to be in the thick of things, and probably most likely will win the AFC North. My apologies.
Yes, they'll win it.
They should, but again, we just don't know how these things play out. And I agree with you, Ish. Yes, the Lions are still in that foundational year where they're going to have to lose to learn how to win. It's just the nature of the beast. There's sometimes some anomalies, like obviously Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, where they were able to have a nice little run, get to the Super Bowl. Adrian thought that was always cap. He still thinks it's a cap. I got it, no problems. But for Lamar, and this is what I stated on social media, and people still push back on me when I said this, but I'm gonna stay firm with what I'm saying. This was a great performance, but I just need to see it in the playoffs. That's it. That's all. We know what Lamar can do in the regular season. There are certain quarterbacks in that elite tier where I don't give a damn about what you do in the regular season. I don't give a damn about Jalen Hurts throwing 36 interceptions in the regular season. If he throws 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the postseason, win the Super Bowl, then guess what? Those interceptions are nullified. So my point is that for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, like it said, we just need to see more consistency. Like Adrian said, we need to just see this type of performance week in, week out, and then not just so much we will take y'all seriously, but until it runs through Kansas City and you beat Kansas City in Arrowhead, then we can say, okay, we take the Lions serious. So I'll go ahead and leave that alone. Fracture Walnut, he says in the comment section, of course, Lions lost, but they're going to win the North, though. He also said not the best team in the NFL, but the best in the AFC North. I'll give him that for sure. Greg also says Lamar is the guy that gets you there, but he's also looking like the guy that holds you back, looking forward to the playoffs. Again, I'll say this. I think we forget that defensive coordinators get paid a lot of money too, right? And I think that when it comes to scheming for Lamar, it's about containment for him, right? It's about containing and not letting him get out of pocket. Now, but he's elevating his game more to where he doesn't really try. He's not trying to run as much, right? He's trying to throw more. So now defense coordinator is going to have to adjust to figure out, okay, are we going to put a spy on him? Are we going to zone blitz? Are we going to have maybe defense like the 49ers have Bosa drop back and have a corner or safety come off the edge and confuse him? You're going to have to give him different looks because now, since he's been in the league for 5 years now, he's seen a lot of defenses, and I think you have to switch it up with a player like Lamar. Adrian?
I just don't. One thing I'll say is that Lamar Jackson, I think that you don't like. I'm a defensive guy, so scheming for Lamar, I don't think that you scheme for him. I think he's more of a guy that just allow him to be who he is, and eventually he's going to mess up. Mm-hmm. That is the issue with him. I don't think that you try to stop him from doing any one thing. Like I'll just use, We'll just use any great quarterback, and we'll just say since Tom Brady was the last one to leave the league, we'll go Patrick Mahomes.
This is Peyton Manning.
Okay, Peyton Manning. We'll use Peyton Manning.
Get him off his spot, right?
If you let Peyton Manning just sit and he's never going to make a mistake.
Nope.
You have to force Peyton Manning to make a mistake.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson's not a guy that you have to force to make a mistake. Lamar Jackson is going to eventually, because of his throwing mechanics, because of his athleticism, because of the things that he's going to create his own mistake at some point in time during the game. And it's not, it's not, that's where the consistency comes in. If he could stay consistent, but he's not going to, he's just not, it's like my golf swing is what I think of. Like I hit the ball really, really well. And then here it comes. When I need it the most, here it comes. I'm going to hit the shank. and then I'm gonna recover and scramble when I could have had a birdie and ended up with a par because I'm scrambling. And it's the same thing. I just don't feel smooth in my backswing when they get a little tight. Same thing with Lamar. I really just don't think that he's capable of not messing it up.
I love that analogy there with the golf swing analogy. That's a really good example that you point out there. Let's go ahead and move on to the Sunday night football game. Dolphins Eagles, again, another game where you kind of thought that, hey, this was going to be a really cool, fun matchup to watch due to how both these teams are coming into this game. Eagles definitely said we're not going to allow the Dolphins to come out here and embarrass us the way that you guys embarrassed Denver a couple weeks ago. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there was, of course, some turnover issues for Jalen Hurts, and of course, that's going to be something that people are going to find a way to bring up as a concern. But I'm not looking at and y'all, and I want y'all to chime in as well. I don't look at these turnovers the same way as, of course, the media wanted to dry out Dak Prescott's turnovers last season and try to equate them as they are the same. Like I stated on the pre-show, interceptions throughout the season, do they matter? Yeah, of course they matter, especially if you put your defense in a horrible position or obviously it's a pick six or whatever that comes out of the turnover. But if you're still winning, sometimes those turnovers get nullified. And a lot of times too, and Adrian Ish, y'all know this, just because the quarterback says that it's an interception, interceptions can be obviously tip balls off of wide receiver hands. They can be
bad route, spot a receiver,
a lot of situations that don't explain why the interception was the interception. And great dig there, Adrian, on that one. But for this Eagles team, I look at them, they're the NFC version of the Chiefs when it comes to things run through them. My opinion. I know there are a couple of good teams still in the NFC, and obviously the 49ers, but until somebody is able to not even just stop the Eagles, maybe you just stop that brotherly shove, it's going to be very difficult to beat this Eagles team because they are just very loaded from top to bottom, both sides of the ball. And the only thing really I think is stopping them is injuries. I mean, at this point is injuries. Adrian, you got anything to say on this?
Well, just quickly, real short. The problem is that the Dolphins, anybody that faces the Eagles, if you're not a good running team, even though the Dolphins had the number one rushing offense or whatever, but you got to look at who you play. And I don't think that goes into a lot of what goes on. People don't. Everybody looks at records and stats and get kind of caught up in it. And the Eagles got the thing that makes the difference. They got corners and safeties that nullified the Tyreek Hills, the Jalen Waddles. They got guys that can cover on the edge out there, and they can line up and put pressure on quarterbacks and change game plans. So the Eagles, that's the advantage that they have. I truly believe that. The Dolphins, I was never sold on them because they don't have a defense in the first place. I've never been sold on them in regards to that. So I don't think that the Eagles, the turnovers, I agree with you, X. It's just how they come. You got to look at what kind of turnover it is and when the turnover. If it's in the first quarter and you turn the ball over, that's different than turning it over in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left in the game. And that's the thing that Jalen Hurts doesn't do. He hasn't shown the same Dak Prescott last drive of the half or the last drive of the game to turn the ball over. He doesn't show that propensity to do that. And the Eagles are solid, just period.
Ish.
Yeah, I mean, this.
You gotta stop that echo there. You got in the background there. Ish.
Whoa.
Yeah, you sound like a hungry monster there.
I know, my bad. No, I mean this Eagles front line. I mean, we've talked about it all season long. That front seven is something different, and when they're able to get the kind of pressure that they were able to get on Tua, and you just see how the defense really feeds off of that, and how that really sets up a lot of what they do. And then on the offensive side, I said it. If Jalen Hurts isn't pressing, he's up there with the best of them, and they were able to get in a good rhythm. They were able to find their stride, and they just kind of rode it out. For Miami, it's always been the same thing for them. when do they get over that hump? Because I feel like for a number of years now, we've talked about them being in that conversation of, oh, they should, we know they're going to make the playoffs, or they should make the playoffs. They should be able to make a run. They always have just a little bit of, I don't know what it is really to describe it, but they always have that little something that's holding them back in these types of big games. And it's never like one thing that I can say that I pinpoint and say like, oh, Tua just isn't the guy. Like, I don't think it's that situation. I think it's more so there's something in this team, something in this locker room, something in this organization that they need to figure out. I don't know what that is exactly, but it seems like there's just something that's holding them back from that next step of being in the elite conversation.
Do you think it's leadership ish? Do you think it's that they don't have a major big time leader? Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there because I sometimes I kind of wonder if it's their leadership.
I'll piggyback off of that, what you're saying, Age. I mean, if you really do think,
yeah.
If you think about it and look at it, I mean, you got the cool head coach, right? Mm-hmm. That's player friendly and don't really is even if he puts his foot down, the players are going to laugh and they're just going to think, oh, that's funny. Okay, coach. You got guys on the offensive side of the ball. Again, they're young. They just have fun. I mean, yeah, Tua is the leader, but again, I don't really look at him like Hurts. And I know that sounds messed up. They came from the same college. They were right in the same quarterback room and all that stuff. But I do not look at Mac Jones and Tua Tagovailoa leadership-wise the same way I look at Jalen Hurts. I mean, it is what it is. Go to the defense side of the ball. Christian Wilkins, who was a jokester? Again, no shade to him. Great player. But I'm not looking at him like I'm a follow him to victory because I know that he can get us there. I'm sorry, not just the victory, but as a leader, I should say. Because if you look at the Eagles, and like Ish said, that front seven, not just dogs with Fletcher Cox. You take Fletcher Cox out, you bring in Jordan Davis. Like, come on, man. What is that? So with the Dolphins, even with Jalen Ramsey, a seasoned vet, won a Super Bowl, but I'm not looking at him as the guy. Like, so I do agree with what you're saying, Adrian. They do have to, and maybe it's just too late in the season. Like, maybe it is what I don't think it's like something that can just be risen from middle of the season. Like this is high school or college, in the NFL, like, who people are. Adrian, we talk about it all the time. The guys know who the guys are in the locker room.
Yep.
So I 1,000,000% agree on the Dolphins aspect. Until they are able to get, they will get, of course, I think it's A-Chan. I know he changed his name. A-Chan, once he get him back from being hurt again and whatnot, maybe they can get back to running the ball. But my concern with the Dolphins more so than most of these teams in the league is if the passing game isn't clicking, then what do you guys have? And it kind of reminds me of Buffalo because for whatever reason, Buffalo for the last 5 years, they just do not want to establish a running game. Like, I just don't understand why that these teams do not think running the ball means something. Because, again, even a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, they could throw the ball 45 times throughout the regular season. But in the postseason, go look at how they play football. They are going to run the ball. And I don't care what the NFL does, rules change. I don't care what fans like when it comes to throwing the ball all day, every day. You still have to establish run. This is coming from a guy that plays wide receiver. You still have to run the ball. So for the Eagles, I expected this win, maybe not this type of fashion. I expected to win, but the Dolphins, I don't know about you, Adrian, but I don't want to say, oh man, just another year of the same old thing for the Dolphins, because really could be that.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Dolphins, so I can't. I've never been sold on them. I've struggled. It's
hard. Yeah,
no, you're good.
It's hard.
Good. Let's get to the comment section. Fresh one that says, I believe they now have 2 losses to great teams. Is it time to question if the Dolphins are frauds? I know you play who's in front of you, but that is very telling of what will happen later. Again, I think it's early in the season. I do agree. When you lose to, certain teams, Ish and I talked about it. We talked about it last week. Ain't no moral victories in the NFL, right? So, it is what it is. You lose. Let's go ahead and move on to next week on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick will say. And, of course, the question of the night, because I'm pretty sure everybody wants to laugh at me, so y'all can go ahead and laugh and hee ha ha. Titans suck. That's fine. Greg asks, what are your thoughts of Byron going to the Eagles? Well, the cool thing about Byard is not just him going to a contending team, but let's just say I might have an exclusive for y'all. I might be able to get Byard on the show. Not right now, but in the future. Let's just say I'm thankful to have family members that know him. So I would like to see. I would like to have his own thoughts on here. So maybe again, hopefully in the future, we might get him on there. But for my thoughts, I'll be honest with you, this is very shocking. I don't know the direction that the Tennessee Titans are going right now, besides obviously tearing down and rebuilding. I understand that aspect.
But what are you rebuilding? Did you ever have anything to rebuild?
Again, if the peak was going to the AFC Championship game and losing to the Chiefs, then hey, that was the peak. But okay. I agree on what you're saying. We were a middle of the pack team that would get into the playoffs and lose either in the first round or second round. Cool, whatever. But I agree. When you get to a point where you're consistently in the playoffs, you really are not trying to rebuild. You're trying to reestablish, reload, and add on to what you already have. But I do understand, and I stated this before the season started, that we're an old team. If you look at Tannehill, Henry, and Hopkins, these guys are pushing 30 years old. So, we got to get to a point where we got to get younger. I understand the next draft class, especially at quarterback, is very friendly when it comes to, hey, get what you want. You just better make the right decision. So we'll see how the GM and everything plays out with that moving forward. But I don't remember last time we trusted a GM here in Tennessee, and they wanted to go ahead and decide to trade away an all-pro wide receiver to the Eagles. So,
but systems make players too.
You're not wrong. But here's the thing, though, Adrian. This is what I'll say, though. It's hard enough to get free agents to come to Tennessee because you are a small market team. You're not the Eagles. You're not the Rams. You're not the Pittsburgh Steelers. There are people that will go to Pittsburgh because they know they have an opportunity to win. Right. This is an organization that kind of has to build through the draft. It's kind of like you see with basketball team, kind of like with the Nuggets or the Indiana Pacers. Again, certain teams that your destination is not sexy. We're not going to get a big name free agent to come there unless you're on the end of your career. DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Andre Johnson. I just don't know what we are doing moving forward. And even if we do get a top-notch quarterback, you still have to build around them.
But I don't, and X, I think that's the thing. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. Those guys are coming to those at the end of their career because they're just trying to pad their stats, and they can go somewhere where they can be top dog. Whereas, you can go there and demand the football and you can be whatever you want to be. Whereas when you had an AJ Brown and you didn't have nobody to get him the ball.
Yep.
And so I don't know, man. I don't think that they're rebuilding, but I don't know that. I think systems make a lot to do with how well a player really becomes.
Of course. We talk about that all the time, especially as a quarterback.
You take DeAndre Hopkins, he goes to Arizona, and look what happens. And then look at him now. His career is just sliding the other way. He's just steady sliding. He ain't changed. He's still the same receiver. He still runs the same routes. It's just, I think systems has a lot to do with it. And I think that the Eagles have somebody that can deliver the football. So I think it's a big difference for him. I don't think that he would have been the same player that he is at the Eagles for the Titans.
I'll end it on this note. You're not wrong about Tannehill. Even though he did get him the ball, if you go watch the film, that he actually did get him the ball. I'm not saying that you're wrong on that part though. But I will say it's crazy to me how everybody in Tennessee is getting traded except for Ryan Tannehill. That's just I'm at all in that. I don't care about the contract. I don't care about what's going on. Get him out of there. That's just how I see it. All right, let's go ahead. Why?
Why get rid of him now?
No, I'm saying, mean why?
Should got rid of him before the season started. That's my
no. I'm saying why get rid of him now? It's too late.
Why get rid of him now? Yeah, why? You already got him.
It ain't too late. Like you're saying, okay, if the season's already over and we're going ahead and tank anyways, then might as well get draft picks and all that fun stuff, trading to the Jets, right? No. They want a better quarterback to maybe make a run to it.
Why give up anything? Why give up anything at this point? You already know he's terrible. Let him stay terrible. Yeah, let him stay.
Adrian, the only reason why Ish is agreeing with you is because he wants to see Malik Willis and Will Levis. That's the only reason why he's agreeing with you. So don't let him try to fool you.
People. What do you mean?
He wants Will Levis to play.
Unfortunately, I don't understand the fascination. I do not understand the fascination with Will Levis. Him and I got another friend of mine that just loved him some Will Levis. I don't get it. If he was that damn good, he would have beat out Malik Willis. If he was that damn good, he would have beat out Malik Willis.
I'll say this. Honestly, and I may be wrong, but go look at all the quarterbacks that are succeeding. They're middle of the road, last round draft picks. It's not the guys that are top notch anymore. It's just not the case.
Patty was a second rounder. He should have been a first. He was a second rounder.
Okay, he's a second rounder.
Jalen Hurts, a first rounder. Joe Burrow, first rounder.
Joe Burrow's ain't doing crap. You can throw that out.
I'm
talking about consistency. I'm talking about consistently doing something.
Again, he was coming off an injury. He didn't even have training camp. This is only weeks. We're going to week 7. Let that man work.
Stop.
Let Joe Burrow work a little bit. I understand he in the same division as you, and y'all be successful.
Okay, let me ask you this, and then we can move on. I'm sorry, but do you think that Joe Burrows was good in college, or just had one good season?
I think it was pretty obvious.
Okay, can I say this? Unfortunately, he's under the same spectrum as Alabama quarterbacks because of all the talent he had around him on that team. And if you see all the talent that's in the NFL right now, you see that, hey, this was a damn good team that he was on. But the difference between him and everybody else to talk about Alabama, at least he's gotten to a Super Bowl, and he got to a Super Bowl before Jalen Hurts. So, again, and with an organization who's horrible, right? A trash organization who we don't talk about, that right there itself gives him at least 3 years to do whatever the hell mess ups. I'm just give him 2 years. Okay, give him 2 years. Last year, it is what it is. This year, again, he's coming off of an injury in training camp. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 2 quarterback in the league every year. What I'm saying is he's easily top 10. And depending on how you look at him, depending on how you judge him, some people he might be top 5. But I will say that, again, that top 5 can be interchanged every week. Every week, that top 5 quarterback-wise can be interchanged because of consistency of play. That's how I see it. Again, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, these are guys that are very inconsistent. One week, they look like Hall of Fame quarterback. The next week, they look like guys that shouldn't be in the league.
You can't go by Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo hyping people up.
Man, nobody listen to Chris.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the guys. That's what you hear. That's what you hear. I'm talking about watching the actual watching.
Watching. That's what I'm telling you.
Watching? What you watching?
So you telling me again? You telling me that as a Steelers fan, and I know you already know what you're gonna say. You'd rather have Kenny Pickett over Joe Burrow? Oh wow, you really thinking about this?
I think he's
Kenny.
Lying. He says that.
I think if he said Kenny Pickett, I know he's lying.
Kenny Pickett over Joe Burrow. I gotta go with Joe Burrow.
I'm just making sure we're on the same page. All right,
I gotta go with Joe Burrow. But
if you said Kenny Pickett, I was gonna have to get you off the show, Adrian.
No. I'm going with Joe Burrow over Kenny Pickett, but I'm gonna say the same thing. It ain't nothing better. It's not making you. It's the same thing I used to say. It's the same. It's the same thing I used to say about Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger was great for Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger was not a great quarterback. He was great. He was great for what they did.
I'm not saying you're wrong on that at all. But again, as a Titans fan, bring Joe Burrow. Like I think he can go start with at least 10 different teams. Kenny Pickett, maybe 2.
I agree.
Like you said, he's perfect for the Steelers, what they want to do. But you're gonna have a lot of teams say, "Hey, go ahead, give me some Kenny Pickett on my team." Like, I don't know.
No, he's good. He's good for the Steelers. He's good for what the Steelers do. That's it. Just like Ben Roethlisberger, he's just another Ben Roethlisberger to me.
And just like another guy who we're going to go ahead and segue into, maybe a guy like Brock Purdy for the 49ers.
Maybe. Oh, that's a little rough. That's a little rough.
I'm asking again. This is a guy who Adrian just mentioned, a guy that wasn't in the high draft pick, obviously Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft.
I'm giving him he's the second coming of Joe Montana to me, man. You
said that. We've talked about it. You said that, but after this performance, a lot of people probably look at you sideways.
What performance? He had a pick late in the game. You're missing Deebo Samuels. you know, that's your weapon. You know, it changes the game when you lose a guy like Debo, when you have a guy like Kittles and McCaffrey. That's the makes you who you are. I think Brock Purdy takes care of the football. The only thing I see with him is I just don't think he has the arm strength.
Mm.
I think he has to be. It's all anticipation with him, and so I don't think he can make late throws. And I think that all the picks that you've seen in the last couple of weeks have all been late throws across the middle, and it's just, you know, it's all anticipation with him because of his arm strength. I just don't see his arm strength being. That's what makes Mahomes good, is he can be late on every throw. He can be late when a guy breaks open 20 yards down the field and still get him the ball. Brock Purdy can't be late 20 yards down the field and get somebody the ball. That's what I see.
I know a quarterback who can, and that's the quarterback who won this game, Mr. Kirk Chains. Ish, I know you want to talk a little bit about what you don't want to talk about Kirk? Oh, okay, hey, don't be disrespecting Kirk Cousins like that, okay? Kirk Cousins, he gonna do what Kirk Cousins gonna do, all right? He gonna shatter you guys' parlay because everybody think the 49ers gonna win this game, and Kirk Cousins say, "Look, I'm not gonna allow this to happen. This is prime time. I'm gonna change the narrative to how people view me on prime time, and that's what we're gonna do. I know this is my last season with Minnesota, so I'm gonna rock it out with my Bible out." Okay, and we're gonna show folks on Monday Night Football how the Vikings get down.
Yeah, let me address this Kirk Cousins nonsense, because I heard somebody talking about, oh, you know, all those people that were talking about Kirk Cousins being traded, he just showed them up. Oh yeah, look at what Kirk did. Okay, can I just say this? People who were talking about Kirk Cousins being traded, and mainly the talk was to the Jets. Is it not a compliment that people were trying to get him on a contender to go possibly compete for a Super Bowl? And it wasn't that they were saying that Minnesota was going to be better off without Kirk Cousins. Like, let's just be honest. He's a solid, middle of the road veteran quarterback. All that, you like that nonsense, all that, like that everybody try to hype him past that. He's a middle of the road, solid veteran quarterback that if he had gone to the Jets, he could help them from the standpoint of he knows what to do, and that's it. That's it. He's nothing special. Okay, so yes, he had a good game last night. Wonderful. Woohoo. Good job, Kurt, for doing your damn job. Like, I mean, come on, man. I don't want to hear that nonsense with Kirk Cousins out here.
I gotta agree with Ish. I ain't gonna say nothing else. I agree.
First of all, in the words of Fraction One, do you like that? Okay. You being real disrespectful to Kirk Chains, okay? My boy out here, he balled out like he always does, and he gonna change his narrative of prime time about him. And let's just run it back for a second. Let's run it back. Kirko, 35 for 45. Again, this is on a 49 defense. It wasn't like he was playing against the offense for the 49ers, right? They weren't the 49ers defense. They was there and they were intact, and they could not get to Kirk Cousins. Did throw an interception, but 378 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean. We talk about consistency, Adrian. We talked about consistency, and over the last 2 weeks, 49ers have not been consistently doing what they need to do.
And they've been injured for the past 2 weeks. So,
but hey, this is football. This is football too, though.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, if you got the injuries, that's what's going to happen. You don't have your best left tackle, so now what? You just your game changes. But as you call him, Kirk Chains. If that interception would have happened right before the half instead of the 63-yard touchdown,
we'd be talking about something else.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, okay. That's football, right?
No, I agree. That's why you play the game.
Sometimes the ball bounces in your way.
I got to agree with that, but he's no good.
Let's get to the comment section. Fraction One that says Debo to Brock is the same as Mahomes to Travis. That's a security blanket. Greg also says shout out to Brian Flores for the great game plan. If I'm being honest with you, he had to come out great, because if not, his ass is going to be fired real soon, because that defense was not performing the last 5 weeks of the season. Also, Big X, my boy, he says go Action Jackson. And if you know him, you know that he is, of course, a Lamar Jackson and the Ravens fan there. Ish, before we get out of here for this topic, anything you want to add on to here besides?
No.
besides the greatness of Kirko?
No.
Adrian, you got anything for us?
No.
All right, no problem. Let's go ahead and get to another game that Ish is probably going to have tons of fun with. Of course, the Taylor Swift show featuring the Chiefs. And then, of course, some team called the Chargers played a football game on Sunday afternoon.
Is you a
I don't know if
Swiftie?
y'all heard about that. You know he is. You already know he is.
America.
What? No. We asked Ish.
Swifties.
It's Ish.
America is Swifties, okay?
You're Swiftie-ish.
And with America being Swifties, the Chiefs have to be America's team now, right?
Man, the hell with that. The hell with that.
The Chiefs have to be America's team now.
The hell with that.
What do you mean?
No way.
The Chiefs have to be America's team now.
If I'm being honest with you, the way the Cowboys have been using that tag for the last 30 years, I don't think y'all want that, any of that. Because it hasn't helped the Cowboys. So I mean, maybe money wise, marketing and putting extra dollars in your pocket, but championship wise, I don't think y'all want those problems.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying,
Man.
The Swifties, ever since Taylor joined, we've been on something different.
Well, it's only when she's actually at games. When she's not at games,
all right,
Elsie ain't performing. So she has to go to the games. That's what it seems like. Adrian, of course, our other resident Chiefs fan. What was your takeaway from this game? The action in the press box with the cool Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift handshake and all that fun stuff. Every time Travis Kelce scratches his nuts on the sideline, they go straight to Taylor Swift. So give me your thoughts on all this.
Why do you sound like such a hater?
How am I sound like a hater? It's literally every 3 seconds they throwing it back to Taylor Swift.
Why you sound like
Why you mad at me? I'm just talk to Al Michaels. Al Michaels already stated that, hey, I'm not doing entertainment tonight. All right. I'm not doing all this. This is a football game. But continue, Adrian.
Hey, I can't wait till they break up. That's all I would say.
I'm happy that Greg knew all of us in high school. And you see this comment right here? Ish was singing Taylor Swift back in high school. Now he's acting brand new. The nerve of him. Thank you.
Somebody
that's on here that's real.
I already said America.
You was singing Love Story. You want to know why I remember? Because we was in that damn show together. And you was singing the song. I remember.
Hey, I can't wait till they two break up so that this can end. Golly.
Oh, it ain't gonna end. You gotta wait for the album to drop.
It's never gonna end.
This is gonna be a two-disc deluxe album about how ain't shit Travis Kelce is. What are you talking about? This ain't over with. It's just the beginning.
No, that's fine. But I'm just talking about, man, can we focus on the fact that Travis Kelce was a baller before Taylor Swift?
No, Taylor Swift made him. No, Taylor Swift made him. Travis Kelce could not play a lick of football until she got there.
Hey, and then they revived Brittany Mahomes. They've revived her and allowed her to be stupid again. Now she can become an idiot again.
Better watch out. The TikToks are coming back for Jackson. Jackson Mahomes. The TikToks gonna come back too. We pop locking.
Oh gosh.
In the pop locking
dropping.
Yeah, man. Hey. I can't even. I hate talking about it because right now, prime example.
We ain't talking about the damn game. We ain't talking about the damn game. We talking about something. We talking about the sideshow.
We talking about the game.
Yeah, yeah. Chiefs is it.
I'll say this again because let's be honest. This division rivalry really isn't a rivalry. It's been and also not even just the Chargers. All the teams in the AFC West against the Chiefs. Y'all have been pretty much demolishing the last 5 years. It is what it is. I didn't want to get to the comment. I want to get to this comment. Greg stated, #Brandon Staley sucks. I'm at a point where I'm thinking that Brandon Staley has some naked pictures of the owner or has some type of blackmail or I don't know what's going on right now, but there should be no reason why Brandon Staley should be the head coach anymore. Now, look, I understand that you're just going to have to play with him throughout the rest of the season. They'll probably let him go after the season's over with, but last time I checked, the Chargers are not the Pittsburgh Steelers. If the Chargers want to let people go, they will let people go. And at this point, again, it's easy to say Justin Herbert is this. He's not as good as what he looks, and this, that, and the third. And I will say this: I will not give all of the blame to Brandon Staley. There are some times where you're looking at Justin Herbert like, what the hell? Why are you throwing that ball? What are you doing on the field? But like Adrian stated earlier, systems make players. I need Justin Herbert in a better system. I don't care if that's Jim Harbaugh, I should say. I don't care if that's even Sean Payton. Sean Payton said, hey, forget working for the Broncos. I'm going to go ahead and take 2-year deal with the Chargers. I just need him somewhere else. Or, of course, Kellen Moore. If Brandon Staley gets fired and Kellen Moore gets promoted to head coach, maybe that might be the perfect system for him. We see, of course, the offensive numbers that he put up with Dallas Cowboys with a quarterback who a lot of people feel as though is inconsistent, who really isn't that good, maybe good on some weeks, not good so much. Maybe he might be the reason that Justin Herbert might become what he's supposed to become. But we won't find that out until, obviously, Brandon Staley is not the head coach anymore. Let me finish up with this comment. And first one that says, what game wasn't that the new Taylor Swift show? He said, what? Fresh, we're going to need you to fix that comment up because I'm a little confused. What game wasn't that?
I don't know.
What game wasn't?
I don't know, but I need you to fix that comment up for me because you got me a little tongue-tied over there. Again, other than that, the Chiefs are who they are. The Chargers are who they are. Good old, of course, Denny Green with the famous quote, they are who we thought they were, and we're just going to go ahead and move on, and we'll talk about them later on. I want to get to this game. I know Ish isn't really too big of a fan of this game. So we're just going to head and exclude him from this. I'll talk to Adrian.
I don't care. I
don't understand why Ish don't like him some Patriots, but we're going to talk a little bit about Bill Belichick, the game plan he brought into this game. Of course, 300th win. I actually did pick the Patriots in pregame show to win this game, mainly not because the Bills are bad or the Bills are this, Bills are that. I just really thought, and I'm sorry, I knew that Bill Belichick has the Bills number. It is what it is. But I also thought because he's been not able to get this 300 win for weeks now, and again, divisional teams, they know each other. I just felt as though Belichick was going to come in with the right game plan to beat the Bills. He obviously was able to do that. Patriots, of course, won this game by 4. For being honest, nobody's really checking for the Patriots this year. Nobody's worried about them making a run. It is what it is. If anything, I look at this game more. I'm looking at the Bills when it comes to you should have capitalized on this opportunity to win a divisional road game. You let that slip through. And if I'm being honest with both of y'all, this is not the same Bills team from the years prior.
This is the Bills window right here.
Yep. I was just about to get to that. Thank you, Adrian, for that. Because I'm looking now. I'm not even looking at the players' age. I'm looking at the coaching staff because Sean McDermott, is he the leader that needs to be there to lead this Bills team? Now, again, I think he's a really good coach. He might just be a better coordinator than he is a head coach, and there's nothing wrong with that. We talk about it all the time. Some coordinators are just better. Some coaches are better as coordinators than they are as head coaches. But we saw Leslie Frazier step down last year for personal reasons. And now it seems like there's a little bit of rumbling going on as well within the Bills organization. Also, before the season even started, obviously the Stephon Diggs situation. Adrian, if the Bills were 2-5 at this point, I think they really maybe could have blown this up already and decided, hey, let's just go ahead and figure out something else moving forward. But because they are winning, I think they try to keep things intact. But if the same outcome happens again this year where they get to the playoffs and lose to the Ravens, the Chiefs, whoever, do you think it's time for them as the Bills to figure out how to get the most out of Josh Allen? Because I think Josh Allen plays a part of this too, why they're not successful, because he does not want to be smart with the football, slide, get out of bounds. You know, again, I understand you're bigger than everybody. We saw that with Cam Newton, but we also saw how short his career was. Same thing could maybe happen with Josh Allen. Adrian?
Well, again, I think you're going in the right direction because he's a franchise quarterback, and I think that's the problem is he has a lot more leeway than, you know, he's been there. He's a leader of the team and all of that. And so from a coaching standpoint, I don't think that it's Sean McDermott's fault. But again, I don't think that he's established that he is the head coach end all be all. Like Bill Belichick, no matter what, when Tom Brady was there, everybody knows that Tom Brady did what he wanted to do. But guess what? Bill Belichick could reel Tom Brady in at any given moment. Like it was always Bill Belichick's team. I think that it's Josh Allen's team and not that. And I'll use my team, Pittsburgh. It's always Mike Tomlin's team. No matter what's going on, it's Mike Tomlin's team, even when Roethlisberger was there. Yeah, you got And I think that Josh Allen is bigger than his britches in Buffalo. And I think that that's a big factor in what goes on. And Stephon Diggs doesn't have it's kind of like the Antonio Brown deal with the Steelers. But being Mike Tomlin's team, guess what? Antonio, you got a problem with the quarterback, you got a problem with me, you got a problem with the team. We're gonna get rid of you. Same thing with Stephon Diggs. You got a problem with the quarterback, you got a problem with the team, you got a problem with the coach, but we ain't getting rid of you because we ain't bigger than you here. That's my assessment.
I think, unfortunately for Stephon Diggs, I think he gets a bad rap because he's not even passionate. I mean, I just think he's a competitive person that wants to win. Again, I know last year might have seemed it looked bad on the sideline. You know, Diggs getting into Allen. I understand all that. And again, in the offseason before the season started with that commotion. But not for whatever reason. I know the reason why. But Adrian, you know this. Ish, you know this. When it comes to wide receivers, we're always divas. We're always this. We're always that. But last time I checked, I thought we're supposed to be passionate and want to be competitive and want to win. And I understand there's a time, place to do everything. I got that. But if Diggs is off this team, Josh Allen is not who he is. That's my opinion.
Okay, but how many times have you and Ish ever bumped heads?
Not any time recently, but when we were playing, maybe once every blue moon.
Okay,
because of,
right. But when it consistently happens after you say it's fixed, and then it turns right back around and happens again, it's more than what everybody learns how to work the media. That's the bad thing. We're not in the locker room. And everybody knows that they don't want to make clickbaits and all that type of stuff. So they say all the right things. Oh, we're cool.
Gotcha.
But when you walk in the locker room, you know what the animosity feels like when you walk through the locker room and you say what's up, but you really don't F with that dude. You're like, I don't fuck with him at all, period. And you know how it goes. But for the team's sake, oh yeah, he's a good dude. He's all right. Yeah, we good. We cool. We talked. Yeah, but what was the result of the talk? What was the result of the action that really happened? Not just, oh, we had a conversation. No, he put me in my place, and I understand where I'm at now. I think that their window was gone, man. I really do. I think it's gone all the way.
No, I 100% agree on that one. Let's go ahead and move on to an ugly game. I just want to talk about it very, very briefly. We're not going to spend too much time on it. Raiders-Bears, of course, going into this game. Yes, I did pick the Raiders to win this game. Honestly, only because of coming into this game, obviously Justin Fields was not playing. And the Raiders do what they do best, which is shit the bed. But coming into this game, I just assumed that maybe they'll be able to take advantage of a wounded Bears team, and they did not. And if I'm being honest with you, Adrian, I really don't want to talk too much about the Bears. I really want to ask the question of with the Raiders when it comes to just Josh McDaniels and this whole organization. When I talk to the Raiders faithful, I have a couple of friends that are really, really big Raider fans. They are pretty much saying that, hey, they are tied to Josh McDaniels because of the money that has been given to him. I mean, even though a lot of people want him gone, it seems though that the Raiders are stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to keeping him. So I guess my question to you is, I mean, what are the Raiders going to do moving forward? I mean, it seems like it's more of this. I mean, with Al Davis, they obviously won championships, right? His son has the team now, and they really haven't done anything. It seems like to me, my opinion, it seems like the son is enjoying the fruits of the labor that his dad put in place, and for you just to sit back and enjoy your team with your 26-year-old girlfriend, and be able to buy a team like the Las Vegas Aces, and of course Las Vegas, and have the Las Vegas Raiders, and you can do what you need to do and whatnot as an owner, but there isn't the same type of competitive drive with Mark Davis as it were with Al Davis. Again, Adrian, you was in that era when it comes to Al Davis. A lot of, from what I remember and what I've heard story-wise, a lot of owners feared Al Davis because of just how competitive and how big of a competitor he was to win at no cost, or no matter what the cost it was. Adrian?
Yeah, but that's the problem though. That had to change. because it's no longer that way in football. They carried that over onto the field. I mean, they played an intimidating brand of football, and so it was allowed, and it was good for business. Mark Davis, like you said, I think he is enjoying the fruits of his dad's labor. But I just don't think that the Raiders are ever going to be anything again. Not in my lifetime anyway. But yeah, they're the Raiders. It is what it is. They continue to be what they are. They fall in the same boat to me as Cleveland, the Lions, even Jacksonville kind of falls in that same realm for me, where no matter how much you win in a season, I need to see you put together 2-3 seasons so I can say you're consistently doing something. The Raiders aren't going to do anything. They're here, and it is what it is.
Is your thought?
They're the Raiders.
All right. Thank you for your thoughts.
I mean, there's not much to say about the Raiders. They're the Raiders. Like, they're up and down. They're a lot more talk than their bite, to be honest.
And I think we're all waiting. I think we're all waiting for a player to get arrested sooner or later, right? For this year, it seems like it happens every year.
I mean,
we laugh. I mean, we're dead serious. Every year, there's something that they got going on that just makes you just want to scratch your head. Like, what the hell is going on with this organization?
Yep.
And moving to Vegas was not the best thing to do, but hey, especially for that organization, maybe a more disciplined franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that might have been a better team to go to Vegas because you had a lot more disciplined people there in that organization. But I knew from the beginning, once the Raiders moved over to Vegas, that was not going to be a recipe for success. But let's go ahead and finish up with tonight with the Steelers and the Rams. Of course, it's Adrian's team, and I'll save it for you last, Adrian. I want to hear your thoughts last. Let me go ahead and start off with my boy Ish. What's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, with the Steelers and the Rams, I don't know, Adrian. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this team, because I still, and I know this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm still under the opinion that it might be time for Mike Tomlin to go. I think his voice has become stale in that locker room. There comes a time when you have to realize that, maybe your time is up. Maybe you just can't get to the players the same way. They won this week. Fair. I know that, but I'm not looking at this week. I'm looking at overall throughout the season. What is this team going to be able to accomplish moving forward? What are they going to be able to accomplish? And really, as I was watching this game, the one thing that I just kept thinking is, like, the Matt Cannon situation has not been handled the way that I feel like it should be handled. And I think some of that may be related to the fact that I do think Mike Tomlin's voice has gotten stale in that locker room. And so I'm wondering, is there something going on behind closed doors where maybe, just maybe, we talking to Mike and we're like, hey, Mike, we're not going to tell you to leave. We're not going to get rid of you. But maybe you want to transition to the front office? I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to wonder more and more as I watch this team and as the season goes on. Maybe he's transitioned to the front office, and then who knows what the next step is at coach over there.
Adrian, your thoughts?
Well, I ain't gonna disagree with you, Ish. I definitely don't disagree. I think that his voice is stale. I say the problem is ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3, and ABC stands for always bench Canada. That's just, I really think that he needs to be benched and out of there. They're not going to. They're not going to get rid of him. It's the Steelers' way, and it's a flaw. Now it has turned into a flaw because you're not going to get rid of Tomlin. He's going to have to walk away. And if he doesn't see it himself, then you're going to continue to have these scrapping for a 500 or better record and all that. It is fool's gold. I don't think that they're very good. Again, if the defense doesn't do what they do, you're looking at a 17-17 ball game. They gave you 2 touchdowns, and you only scored 1 touchdown for real. Like, you really drove the ball, moved the football where you needed to move it in the second half to score. But they're not very good. They're not a very good football team in the sense of from the standpoint, the offense doesn't move the ball, so it gets real quick and old for the defense. And in today's football game, where you can't intimidate, defenses aren't stopping anybody anymore. You're just trying to get lucky and get an interception, a fumble recovery. I mean, think about it. You have more fumble recoveries now than you have interceptions in football because people are punching the football out. That's the only physical thing you can do. You can't run up and hit a guy in the mouth and knock the ball loose anymore, but you can run and throw a fist punch and knock the ball out. So, and you see that a lot more in today's game. It's Mike Tomlin. As much as I love him, I don't think they're going to get a better coach, but I think they can get a better voice. And that's what it is. It's like the Lions, in the sense that they brought in a new coach. We were all laughing at the fact that their head coach stood up there and said, bite them in the knees. Bite them in the knees. When we're losing, we're going to bite them in the knees. Okay, that didn't motivate nobody. It didn't do anything. But it was a different voice. It's Mike McDaniels at the Dolphins. It's a different voice. You're hearing it. It's no longer stale. You play well for a while, but the question is, will it be consistent over the long haul? That's the problem that the Steelers will have, is if they get a new coach. I don't know that they're going to get a better coach than Mike Tomlin, but they can get a better voice for what is happening in the organization.
I'm not mad at what you said there. I'll finish it up tonight and just pretty much ask you, and even Ish can chime in as well. Now, we've talked about it, Adrian. We talked about it on the show. We talked about it off the show when it comes to, like you just said, Mike Tomlin and his voice and just how he handles the locker room now more so than ever. I've seen a lot on social media from Steeler fan base. I'd be sometimes jumping into their fan groups and looking to see what they say. And from what I'm seeing, they're pretty much saying kind of what you said when it comes to he's a glorified cheerleader. He's not really that great of a coach. I'm really at awe because I understand what they're saying. I do. Because you had obviously the Ben Roethlisberger era, you go to the Killer B era with AB and Le'Veon Bell, and then now you're in this era where there's a lot of uncertainty, but they're still winning, right? Now, let's be honest, Adrian. The Steelers organization and the fan base itself have been very spoiled to be able to have sustained greatness for almost 70 years now, then only have 3 head coaches throughout that tenure. I mean, that's unheard of, right? And I think when that happens, same thing with Patriot fans, when it comes to having that 20-year success run, you get spoiled because you expect a Super Bowl every year, or at least contend for Super Bowl every year. But a team like myself, like Tennessee Titans, I mean, I would be lucky, or I would be grateful, I should say, to be able to have a winning record every year for the last 15 years and be in a postseason majority of those years and win a Super Bowl. For a poverty franchise like Marcel's, again, I'll throw us under the bus. It is what it is. But again, for an organization like the Steelers, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Patriots, when you have your standards up a certain way, things just are different feel in that organization comparison to Cleveland Browns and any other team we want to throw out there. So I'm not saying that you're wrong, and I'll let you, of course, chime in. But my thing is the grass isn't always green on the other side, right? And it's going to be interesting to see, okay, if Tomlin does go to the front office, which I think is a great opportunity for him, Sean, like with Belichick, even though he signed his extension, who comes in? I mean, who's the voice? Do we keep it internal? I mean, again, I know that's something that obviously the Steelers like to do. Do you go outside of – because like we were saying, look, we're all on the same page when it comes to football. It's not what it used to be, right? It's changing. You cannot continue to keep doing the same thing you did in the past because that will keep you in the past. So what do the Steelers do, Adrian?
I mean, I think they go outside, find somebody. I think that you teach them the Steeler way, but you get some new blood in the Steelers. I mean, Mike Tomlin was new blood. He wasn't in the Steelers organization. He was new blood.
I mean, but he was a special teams coach at the time. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, but he wasn't blood. Like, it was, they brought him in. He hadn't been there for ever or none of that. So I think that they got to do something like that. And I'll say what you said about how they're winning. Styles make fights. Styles, their style points don't look good. And I'll just use all of us. You guys are all both getting older. I'm older. I can, if I put on a suit right now, I look one way. If I go get that suit tailored, it looks good. And people say, man, you still look good at 52 years old. But I know what I look like underneath. I don't have the muscle structure that I once had when I was playing ball. And I don't have just a look, but I can get a suit that fits me that looks really good. It's the same thing with Mike Tomlin. He looks good where he's at because he's been there and he understands the ways of the organization and he's done it. But the reality is underneath, when you unpeel the layers, it's not pretty. They're not winning games. They're winning games because they're willing to fight. They're willing to do what they need to do. But they're not winning games because they're the better team. They're not winning games because they're out coaching anybody. They're not winning games because they're outsmarting anybody. None of those things. They're winning games because you play against the Rams, you get stupidity. You got dumb things that help them win the game, help the Steelers win the game. So you turn around. The Ravens, they gave them the game. They gave them the same thing. You win because of other, like I said, you just keep doing. The one thing that the Steelers have done consistently is they allow you to make mistakes. That's what they do. Continue to let you play. Keep just hanging in there. You're going to make a mistake, and we're going to win the game that way. They haven't won a game yet where they've outcoached anyone. This is the first time they put both guys in the backfield, both Najee Harris and Warren in the backfield at the same time. They finally got Deontay, back out there with Pickens, and they're still missing Freiermuth. So, you just, and then now when they get all the weapons back, then the question really becomes, can Kenny Pickett get it done? No. So that's my take.
Ish, you have anything for us before you got here?
No, Adrian said it.
He said it very eloquently. We do appreciate you, Adrian, as always, for being on the show, and as always for letting everybody know if you want to win this, of course, as autographed signed helmet from Leonard Williams. We will have another question for you guys next week on XtalknIsh. So make sure you tune in. I will present the question for you guys. Other than that, I appreciate you, Adrian, always for being on this show. Can you let them know where to find you before we get out of here?
Appreciate you guys. Y'all can always find me at www.bdocsports.com. Man, we can go for anytime, anywhere. I got my phone number, anything sports related, women's or men's. Give me a call.
Especially if you're in high school, you have a high school kid, get at him. He'll help them get into college. I'm not stating that. I'm not throwing that out there. I'm just letting y'all know for real. This is the guy to help you get to the next level. So if you do have a kid out there, Fracture Walnut, I'm throwing that out there to you. Let this man know. So as always, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to XtalknIsh. This is X, that is Ish, and this is Adrian. And we will see y'all